Hello, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Just welcome. I am so happy that you are here. Welcome to this week's Compassionate Weekly Accountability Meeting and Q&A. Whether you are a subscriber, a Self-Worth Hub member, just someone stopping by, I am grateful for your time and trust. And I am just so glad that you are here. And I hope that you can hear me well. I will be actually checking in the comments. So let's say hello. Where are you tuning in from? I see that I have a few folks watching. Thank you so much for being here. And where are you tuning in from? Okay, I'm in New York City. It is actually snowing and I am cold, as you can see. So, anyways, I'm just happy to be here. And remember that this is your space to ask any questions that you may have, to reflect, to set intentions for the week, and to compassionately hold yourself accountable because it is so easy to override our needs, our desires, in lieu of everything else that happens every day, right? So, if you can just dedicate 15 minutes, maybe 20, we shall see. I am just grateful that you are here. And I see some of you. Oh, hello. Hello from Atlanta, says Rosa. It's so wonderful to have you here. Hello again. And let's see. And I have Beatrice from LA, but it's a little cold in here too. She says, oh. Well, I hope not as cold as here. So, welcome. Let's see. Hello from New York City. The only hello. It's wonderful to see you all. And I am just grateful that you are here. I'm hoping that we can have some rich discussions. I personally wanted to bring up some of the most common questions that have been coming up in general, but this week in particular. And some of you Self Worth Hub members who are tuning in, thank you. I'm so happy that you are here. You know that we just had our bi-weekly call yesterday, and it was around moving away from self-neglect. And tonight's common questions, frequently asked questions from clients and members, it's related to that. Why? Because I know how challenging it can be to feel stuck, to feel overwhelmed, to feel like you're just going through the motions. And we're going to tackle some of these questions. For instance, why do I feel like I am nothing I do is never good enough, right? That's one of them. Another question is, how do I stop being so hard on myself? Right? Although, um, welcome, more folks. Please tune in and tell us where you are tuning in from. Where are you watching from? Okay. So, for instance, how do I stop being so hard on myself? A lot of you who have shared within our group calls, you have shared how you have this heightened inner critic. So it's so easy to be hard on yourself. And at the same time, as you are doing this healing and growth work, you want to move away from that. And I commend you for that. I am so proud of you and thank you for allowing me to be a part of your journey, right? And the other question is that came up a lot this week is, how do I set boundaries without feeling guilty? Classic one, right? No one is surprised, right? That we are all here trying to set boundaries, and it can be so hard. Let's see. Ooh, hello. I see Janelle from Brooklyn. Hello, welcome, Janelle. And Satilda from Much Love from New York City. There you go. So it seems like we have a majority of it's a New York City crew for the most part, but we have, folks from Atlanta, from LA. So thank you so much for tuning in. And I want to start by sharing, the first question and the answer, right? How do I feel like I'm never good enough? And this is such a powerful but unfortunately common question and struggle that comes up a lot with many of us who grew up in environments where our worth felt tied to what we could do, our performance, and how much we achieved, how well we behaved, or how less space we took, right? So, also how perfectly well we followed the rules, right? If you have good girl syndrome, comment I, okay? Because at least I've had good girl syndrome for a long time and I'm just moving away from that. Hello, hello. Then we have Stephanie. Good evening from Pennsylvania. Hello. Right? So comment I if you can resonate with that, like good girl syndrome, right? The less space that you took, then the better that you were, the more you were praised. But if you notice, and I see I thank you everyone. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Right? And what happens over time, we start to internalize that if we don't express our needs, if we don't take up space, if the less space that we take, if we don't bother people, then the more that we are going to be liked. But what does that mean, right? We are overriding our needs. We learn to suppress our emotions. We learn that we must be invisible, right? So, one thing that we can begin to do is to start practicing self affirmations. Okay. I know they sound very simple. We use them a lot in cognitive behavioral therapy because the way that you talk to yourself about yourself, it's so impactful. And when that inner voice tells you, oh, come on, like that wasn't enough, or that doesn't look good, like look at this, the way that you did it, it looks messy, etc. It's important to tell yourself, guess what? I did my best, or I did it within the means or the time frame that I could, right? At least I tried. So it is important to jot down the evidence that you are making the effort, no matter how small, that you are showing up, because what you do is good enough, but more importantly, who you are is good enough. We are moving away from being human doings to being human beings, right? And let's see. Okay. A lot of you commenting I. Thank you so much for sharing that. So let me ask you this. What is one thing that you can celebrate about yourself today? Okay. Extra points to you if you can put them in the chat, in the comments, if it feels safe and comfortable, of course. I won't be pushing you to do anything that you don't feel comfortable with. So share with us what is something that you can celebrate about yourself today. Post that in the comments. Okay, I would love to hear. So I'll give you a few minutes. Okay. Now, question number two that keeps coming up and that was so present this week is, how do I stop being so hard on myself? And I hear this all the time. You wouldn't believe it, right? So if this sounds like you, know that you're not alone. Okay. This being hard on yourself often comes from a fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of not being good enough, and fear of coming up as an imposter. Okay. Does that resonate? Let's see. I see a comment. Ah, I love this. Rosabelli says, I've recently wanted to rebel against my good girl version. She feels limited. I love that. I would be curious to know um, how she feels limited, you see? Yes. And Natalie says, yes. Okay, beautiful. That's right. Why? Because don't get me wrong. Yeah, it's good to be a good girl, but don't be a good girl to your detriment, where you are undermining your desires, your passions, right? And let's see what Beatrice says via Boss Coaching says, today I meditated and really took my self care weekend seriously. I've recently made scheduling my self care as a needed practice to prioritize me. Yes, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. Right. So the reality is that being hard on yourself very likely is keeping you stuck, right? So let's talk about how to start shifting that. And I love the fact that, you are sharing some of the steps that you are taking and how you are showing up for yourself and showing self-compassion, right? So first, pay attention to your inner dialogue, right? I want to repeat that again. First, pay attention to your inner dialogue, right? When you catch yourself saying something like, I'm so stupid, for instance. You'd be surprised. I hear that all the time. Oh my gosh, I'm such an idiot. I'm so stupid. Like so normalized. And the reality is that very likely you wouldn't talk to a friend like that or other people. Do you? Do you? Let's see. Okay, I don't see any comments yet, but very likely you are more hard on yourself. You're very harsh with yourself, right? So when you catch yourself messing things up, right? Ask yourself, would I say this to my friend? Like the automatic thought, a judgment, like, I'm so stupid, I'm an idiot, oh my gosh, I'm a mess, I'm such a mess. Would you say that to a friend, right? So ask yourself that question and let's rephrase it with something kinder, like, it's okay, you are human, right? And mistakes happen. So those are ways that sound so simplistic, but the reality is that it is cumulative. The more we retrain our minds, our inner dialogue to be of self-compassion, the more we will experience a transformation and we will continue to allow our inner child to thrive. Okay, and I see some comments. Let me see. All right. So Zatilda says, today I pushed through, let me see, I pushed through procrastination today and got things done that's been on my to-do list for months. Yes. Oh, beautiful. So everyone, let's just celebrate. Let's celebrate. I love this. I love this. Let's see. Stephanie says, I have been moving away from all or nothing. Instead, shifting to mindfulness and challenging myself to show up more. I love this. Oh my gosh, I love this community. Thank you all for sharing. Right? So, and let's celebrate. Come on, give me the celebration emoji in the comments. I love to see that. Okay, because that's what we are here for. We want to celebrate progress, not perfection. But this is a lot. And the mere fact that you are here, I hope that you can begin to associate this time with self care and prioritizing yourself. Okay. All right. So, again, these small acts of kindness are cumulative. And finally, right, the question of the hour that keeps coming up every time with my members and clients: how do I set boundaries without feeling guilty? Especially because we are so used to doing things for other people or prioritizing everything else that we do not. And I'm guilty of that, let me tell you. Okay. You are going to, the self-worth hub members who are here, you're going to laugh because this came up yesterday during our group call. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to wash my hair, I need to do my hair. And guess what? Who did not do her hair? Okay, me. But I said, okay, I'm gonna put my pretty scarf. But I will do it after this. I promise. Okay. I am promising that I'm going to do my hair because that's going to be part of my commitment before I go to bed today. Okay. That's it. That's it. I said it in public. So I want to emphasize that going back to setting boundaries without feeling guilty, right? And prioritizing our needs is that many of us were raised to believe that putting others first, it's just the right thing to do. It makes you a better person. So it makes sense. Think about it that it doesn't come natural. That if you are saying, oh, I'm going to put Karina first, I'm going to do this first, you are going to feel guilty. So it's natural, right? However, at the expense of your well being, because more often than not, we show up resentful. We may show up passive aggressive also when we override our boundaries and we don't set them with people, right? And the reality is that boundaries are not about pushing people away or being rude, right? Because we tend to associate assertiveness sometimes with being like harsh. And no, that is a misconception. Boundaries can actually draw people closer. I am a strong believer in that because you can have heart to heart with people and you can place the relationship at the epicenter. That because you value the relationship, you feel a sense of responsibility to set boundaries and to speak your truth, right? And I want to see, okay. Oh, Satilda says, you look beautiful and we won't judge. I love that. Thank you so much. Oh, okay. All right. Oh, I love these members. Just giving, just showering love to each other. Hey, see, I'm proud of you. Great. Oh, thank you, Anicia, for everything. That's beautiful. I love this community, right? So, for instance, right? One way to ease the guilt is to start small, right? So let's say that a friend keeps calling you and it's late at night and it's draining you, right? But it's a friend that you care about and you don't want to be rude. So what do? If you are the flight type, you tend to ignore, right? And I will not address it, right? But what does that do? It creates resentment versus tackling the boundary or placing the relationship at the epicenter, being authentic, right? So, what is an alternative instead of ignoring, right? Anyone in the chat? Anyone? Anyone? Okay, in the interest of time. Okay, an alternative is either you pick up the phone or you text that person, right? And you can say something along the lines of, hey, I would love to chat, but I need to stick to earlier calls. You know, I love speaking with you, but I would love to go, I would like to keep it no later than 7 p.m. because I've been really tired and, I just want to have that time for myself. I hope you understand. Okay. Have you had that situation? Comment I if you have, right? But the reality is, more often than not, if you speak from the heart, if you are respectful, and especially we're talking about people that we value, and we explain that to them, if they genuinely care, I doubt that there will be any problem or people or feelings will be hurt when we are assertive and we set boundaries without feeling guilty, right? So let's reflect for a moment. Where in your life could you benefit from setting a small, healthy boundary this week? Okay, share it in the comment. Where in your life could you benefit from setting a small, healthy boundary this week? Okay. Okay, and I see that folks are relating. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, right? So, because I want to honor my word, because lately I've been going over. Man, these lives, I'm like, man, I've been going over. I appreciate people, also all of you taking the time to be here. And I want to begin to wrap up our session. And I want to ask all of you before we do that, right? Again, where in your life could you set a small boundary so that you can honor your commitment this week? Okay. Extra points for you if you can post it in the chat. Okay. So let's share it. Okay. I love diving into these topics with all of you. And if there's one thing I want you to take away, is that you're not alone, evidently, in your struggles. And I want you to utilize this space, the community. I mean, if you can see, a lot of you are being so supportive. And I cannot wait to hear what are some of the commitments or the boundary that you are planning to set this week, okay, to honor your commitment. Anyone? Anyone? Don't be shy. Don't be shy. No judgment here either. Okay. Let's see. One small step, one day at a time, right? So I just want to say that while some of you may be typing, anyone? Extra point? Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Any commitment, any boundary that you are setting? Okay. All right. Let's see. Let's see. So Satilda says, my coworker always tells inappropriate jokes and I either laugh them off or ignore him. I told him once before, but he just says he does it with everyone, even in his family. Okay, you see? So I would like to compassionately hold you accountable to stand your ground. How would you feel about that, right? It's like, hey, I know that you do this all the time, but it makes me feel uncomfortable. So I just wanted to bring it to your attention because I wouldn't want to build resentment between us. That's another way of framing it where you are saying, like, hey, something makes me feel uncomfortable. I understand that for you it's normalized, but for me it's not. And because I don't want to resent you, or because I value our relationship and I want us to be cool, however, verbiage, however you speak, it's okay. It's important to phrase it that way so that they understand that their actions and their words are having an impact on you, right? So you don't want to resent them. Now, if they continue to do it, then you will have every reason to move forward and to not interact with them because evidently they're not respecting your boundaries, right? But the point is that I want to make is that we are trying here. We're trying and we are honoring our truth. We're speaking up and we're taking up space, right? So, again, if tonight's conversation resonated with you, if you felt identified, I would love to see you again next week, right? Share it with a friend, anyone who may need it. Okay. And if you aren't already a member, check out our Self-Worth Hub where we explore these topics in a safe, supportive environment. So thank you all for being here. I don't take it for granted. Thank you for showing up for yourself. I want to remind you that you are worthy of your boundaries, of your commitments, of moving forward, okay? And to overcome that inner critic that may prevent you from moving forward and stuck. So remember, you're so worthy of love, of respect, of kindness to yourself. So until next time, take care of yourself. Enjoy the rest of your day or evening, wherever you are. So good night, everyone. Good night. Let's see. More commitment. Oh, I love this. You know what? Yeah, the sweetie comment. Yeah, a good friend of mine called me sweetie and tried to pinch my cheeks, and I don't like it. I'll bring it to her attention. Beautiful. All right. I see here, Beatrice. All great commitments. Beautiful. All right. Thank you for creating this space, Karina. Oh, thank you. Thank you for being here. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. All right. Stephanie says continue to be assertive for something. When asking for something, I used to be passive aggressive or think that people should know what I feel. Well, thank you all. Thank you all for being here. I truly appreciate you, sending you many hugs, and see you in the community if you are a Self Worth Hub member. And if not, I'll see you around. Thank you for being here. All right. Good night, everyone.